I want to thank Beverly Brooks for being our guest on Promise in Me Unleashed. So glad to have you.
Glad to be here.
This is March, Multiple Myeloma Awareness Month. And what better time than to have you on to talk with us about your journey through multiple myeloma. Let's talk about that for a little bit. Let's explain to those who may not understand what this disease is. Tell us a little bit about it, and then we can talk about your journey.
Okay. Multiple myeloma is a blood cancer, and it attacks the white blood cells from the plasma cells. So at that point, you could easily have cracked ribs, you could have kidney failure, you have bone pain, you have a lot of different things. But that's what it is. It's basically a blood cancer.
Okay.
So for me, when I was diagnosed with it, I really had no clue what it was, but I was getting treated for another type of cancer that I had almost 7 years ago. Close to 7 years ago. It was more close to 7 than it was 6. So the oncologist that I was seeing at that time continued to see me every 6 months and do blood work. But I was working as an after school teacher, and I was working doing nursing. And whenever I would get off from my job in the morning, because I work 7 p to 7 a, walking to my car, I felt like my ankle was cracking.
Wow.
But I had no idea why. I contributed to my age because at that time I was 60 years old. So I was like, I'm just getting older. My bones are just acting up or whatever. I had a visit to my doctor on November 15th. And I got a call back to come back into his office on November 22nd. And my question at that time was, what for? No one would basically tell me over the phone. They just said he needed to see you. When I got there, I saw him. He said, I told them not to tell you because it's not the same cancer. If it had been the same cancer, it wouldn't have been a problem.
Right.
But he said, you have multiple myeloma. And I was like, what? What is that? And he said it was a blood cancer and it attacks the white blood cells. But when you have a doctor that cares about you, that thinks about you in so many different ways, not just you personally, your family, and everything else, this doctor looked at me and he said, Miss Brooks, you're going to be okay.
I love it.
And I couldn't even cry. I literally did not shed a tear. I was like, he says I'm going to be okay. But that's what it's about. You can manage it. It's not a curable cancer. It's a rare cancer. Believe it or not, African Americans will more likely live longer with this disease than Caucasians. But the problem is we haven't brought awareness to the disease and to the community, so they're not getting the treatment that they need at the time that they need it. And therefore, when they get diagnosed, they're probably closer to a stage 4 or to the point there's not a lot you can do. But the awareness in the community needs to be brought forth more. I'm guilty of not doing my advocacy about it. Also, and I need to do more to let people know. But yes, that's multiple myeloma. And you can move around with it. Your bones hurt, but it's a mindset. And if you put your mind to, I'm going to get through it, you can get through it. So
let me just say, it is amazing to hear you explain what this disease is. And I know you probably say I'm not advocating as much as I should be, But I think just by the mere testament that you are really a living testament of
Correct.
how to go through this disease, people are watching you. And I've watched you just go through it from the outside, and seeing how heroic you have been in going through this disease. Talk to us a little bit about the treatment that you've received since your diagnosis, because I think that's really, really important. Many people
Okay.
are afraid of treatment. They
Right.
might know that they have the disease and they are afraid. I think the biggest place of empowerment is knowledge and knowing what to do when you get a diagnosis of cancer. So talk to us a little bit about what your treatment journey has been like.
Well, when I first got diagnosed, I was with one oncologist who referred me to a specialist oncologist. And if you have multiple myeloma, you want a specialist oncologist. Okay. You just don't want a straight oncologist. You want a special oncologist. He at that time told me, first of all, we have to do a bone marrow biopsy. Okay. The bone marrow biopsy, some people have had them different ways. I've had them both. But I prefer to be asleep, just to be honest, you know.
Understood.
It does hurt. It does hurt. But I had it both ways. But he had to determine that I had multiple myeloma for himself when I went to the specialist.
Right.
After I went to the specialist in January. So they put me in a clinical trial. Okay. And with the clinical trials, there's certain criteria that you have to meet. I also need to throw in also that Dr. Wilcox did say to me, Miss Brooks, if you were not as healthy as you are now, it may have been difficult because I don't take hypertension medicine. I'm not a diabetic. I was just a cancer patient, a sickly person with stuff, which was basically tumors.
Wow.
So, but they'll do that. They'll work you up. I went from January until July getting chemo. Chemo was a all-day effort. It took all day. I was on, I had the chemo medicine, which was dexamethasone. I had Velcade. The day prior to going to chemo, I had to take 13 pills.
Wow.
Literally 13 pills before I actually went that day. The day of chemo. I had to take 13 pills that morning, and then they start the chemo. The chemo
was that an infusion? Excuse me. Was that like an infusion of the chemo?
Yes, I got the infusion, but the pills was prior to. You get the infusion. I got the infusion. It's a very slow drip, and it literally takes all day. Yes. And then after that, I would probably go to chemo at 9. I would get out at 5:30.
Okay.
I got an injection, which is Velcade, which is injected into your stomach, which is another form of chemo. So I had 2 types of chemo. And I was in the clinical trial. And at that point, they sent me to Lexington, Kentucky to see if I would qualify for the stem cell transplant. They do everything. Wow. They do blood work. They do MRIs. They test your heart. They test everything for you to make sure that you can go through the transplant.
Right. Now, what did that transplant entail?
The transplant basically entails that you first start off getting immunotherapy. Okay. And they collect your stem cells. Everyone is not able to give their own stem cells. They may have to get them from a family member, or there's a register, and let me touch on that also. The register to give stem cells for multiple myeloma is Caucasians are first, African Americans are second, and Asians are last.
Explain that to me, why that order, and does it matter whose stem cells you get if indeed you need someone else's? But explain the order. I want to understand that.
Yes, it does matter whose you get because they have to match you. They got to match your genes and everything else. So they got to be a match.
Okay.
And if they're not a match, then they can't offer it to you.
Okay.
But if you look out there, I guess because I don't really know for sure, but just reading the little information that I have read, I don't know why Asians are last, but just their genetic makeup is different than African Americans and Caucasians.
But you gave us an order. You said Caucasians are first,
Yes.
African Americans are second, and Asians are third. What do you mean by first, second, and third? I think that's what.
Because they would be the first to get transplant from a donor, to get the stem cell transplant from a donor. They would be the first one, and then African Americans next, and then Asians.
So we're talking about availability.
Correct.
Of
Yes.
donors.
Right.
And that's awareness is so
right. But I was able to give my own cells, my own stem cells, which to me, that's the best way to go. But, I don't know. But I was able to do my own. When you do the stem cell transplant, you start out with getting the immunotherapy so you can give your cells. Okay. They put a portocatheter in you right here to collect it. And it does hurt. That hurts too. Everything hurts. But you go in, and I was told that it may take 2 days to collect my stem cells.
Okay.
Well, it took me 4 days. And on the 5th day, I was like, this is it. After today, which was the 4th day, I hope y'all got enough, because neuropathy is real. It is very real. I had neuropathy on both legs from the knee down. It was very painful. It ached. I was literally in tears. But I was recently told on Tuesday when I went to chemo, because there's other ways to give. They have a new method now called CAR T. And I don't know a lot about CAR T, but you have stem cell transplant and you have the CAR T. And when she told me, she's a research nurse at the hospital, and she said, well, Miss Brooks, it's a lot different than giving your own cells. Than doing the stem cells. You only give it one time. And I really told her, one time too many. I still have a bag in Lexington that I can use if I ever relapse. Pray to God that I never relapse again. That I can use if I need another transplant. But that's what they do. They collect your stem cells first. You wait like maybe a week or so. Whenever they set your transplant date up, they take you into transplant. And transplant is basically, I had a tube about that long, about that thick, with my stem cells in it. They inject it in you. And they suggest that you eat candy, hard candy, so you don't throw up or anything like that. Well, I had every side effect that there was. I had it. But it took, they inserted in you very slowly. But it's not necessarily pain. It's just that you're very nauseated. And I had to stop sometime and just, throw up or whatever. But that's what they do when they're giving you the stem cell transplant. Once you get that, you are monitored in the hospital, because they may have to give you blood. You have to get up and walk every single day. Not one day. You have to get up and take a bath every day. You can't just lay there. You have to walk around. Also, the medicine that I was on, I had gained a lot of weight. And the doctor explained to me, don't worry about that, because when you go to transplant, you're going to lose that weight. And I did. So I was in the hospital for 18 days in ICU. It was very, very rough. But I managed to get through it. I kept the prayer and the work of God, that through God, all things are possible. Okay. So you're going to get through it. And it's a form of transformation. And when you get your stem cells on that date, that's your rebirth date. So you are a lucky individual to have 2 birthdays, not one, but you got 2. And you celebrate those 2 birthdays, your reborn day and your birthday. But After I did that, I stayed in Lexington for 18 days. I had to stay overnight just to make sure everything was okay. We came home and I got sick again. And I had to go back to Lexington. I had lost 16 pounds within 1 week.
Wow.
So I had to have, I can't think of it now. I had to have infusions of saline solution in me every day for 2 weeks. And I didn't want to do it in Lexington, so I did it here in Louisville. Go back, get infused every day. But through it all, it took about maybe 3 or 4 months of recovery. You have to wear a mask for 100 days. They suggest to you that you do not entertain having a lot of company because your immune system is totally down. You have to get all your vaccinations that you got as a kid all over again. And there's a process time for that. So you get revaccinated with everything all over again because they bring your immune system is brought all the way down and then you have to build it up. So.
Wow. Beverly, how long ago was the stem cell treatment?
I had the stem cell transplant in 2017.
Wow. And so we're looking at almost 5
6
years.
years. We're going on 6 years. Yeah,
wow.
It's 6 years.
A living
6 years of God's blessing.
Yes.
As you notice, I have on my butterfly.
Yeah.
And I call myself the beautiful black butterfly. And just to throw this in, I actually talked to a butterfly and I asked him to flap his wings. And that butterfly flapped his wings. So I said, I know you got me, you know? And I don't know, just the butterfly alone just keeps me going. And
I love it.
It's a mindset. It's a mindset. And if you go into it saying, you know, I got this, you know, go and read Isaiah 43:2. Just read it. Just read it. And he'll get you out of that. You know, you have to have a strong support group. I had a very strong support group. You need a strong support group. And honestly, chemo was not hard for me. One time I had a reaction because my godmother had a trial mix or whatever. And whatever was in that trial mix, it immediately swelled my tongue. So we had to stop chemo for 30 minutes. He said, whatever you ate, don't eat it again.
Right.
You know, and other than that, no, we pick a song. I sung all the time while I was in chemo. You know, Yolanda Adams, her song, what's his name? Jenkins, Reverend Jenkins, Winner, I'm winning, you know. Charlie Wilson, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. You know, so those 3 songs were my songs during the journey, you know, and we played them all the time. And I would literally come out of chemo singing, literally come out of chemo singing. So.
That's awesome. Your story is amazing. And, you know, as a cancer survivor also, we understand what it takes once we've gotten a diagnosis to really, really encourage ourselves and really advocate for ourselves to ensure that we're doing everything that we need to do in order to get on the other side. And even if we still got to go through something, because I heard you say that multiple myeloma is not necessarily a curable disease, but a manageable disease. It's manageable. But you said something about mindset, and that is very important, and about the support group, having the right people around you to encourage you through the process.
This. I'll take care of it and I'll make it go away.
Breaking news. Celebrated televangelist Beverly McNair has been reported missing.
Oh my God, Jasmine. Have you heard the news about Dr. Bev?
It doesn't look good, Karis. They found her car, her phone, but there's no sign of her.
Dr. Bev's disappearance is a spiritual attack.
We gotta pray.
Lord. In the name of Jesus.
We need answers, Father. Show us, God. Show us in the spirit, Father.
I'm seeing trees. Why am I seeing trees, Jesus?
Did Dr. Bebb's husband say something about the leak?
I know exactly what he's going through.
If they don't find her before nightfall, there's a chance that she may not survive.
And we are back. Beverly, share with us about the Black Myeloma Health Community Group.
The Black Multiple Myeloma Support Community Support Group.
Yes.
They're very, very good. They welcome new members. On their page, you can ask any type of questions. I'm getting ready to have a stem cell. What do I expect? What's going to happen? And of course, everybody's different. Everybody's different. I've been on Rivlamir. It's making me itch. It's breaking me out. What was your take about Rivlamir? Everybody's story is going to be different. I'm a Velcade patient. And let me explain to you why I chose Velcade. When I had my visit with my oncologist in Lexington, he wrote up, Miss Brooks, you will be on Velcade every other week and Zometa, which is for your bones, every month for 2 years.
Okay.
I got back to Louisville and my oncologist said, Miss Brooks, you're taking dexamethasone. And I said, no, that's not what he told me. You know, and another thing I just want to throw in, Jackie, here's my folder. Okay. Keep your paperwork.
Yes.
When you go to the doctor, get that printout, ask for it, put it in a folder and keep it. And the reason why I also say that is just because if a family member has to go through anything, they can look back. I've kept my folders all the way up until 2019. Because basically now I'm just going for the basic chemo, but everything was in here where I got the stem cell, what they told me, what I was going to be on during clinical trial. I kept all of that. And that's why I knew when he said, you need to take dexamethasone. I looked back through my notes and I said, that's not what the doctor said. And at that time, my son took me to get the bone treatment that I needed. And, you know, we kind of went back and forth and I kind of basically went in tears and I'm just like, that's not what he said. And I kind of gave in. Okay. Now I gave in to the dexamethasone, but here's the thing. First of all, always be your own advocate.
Yes.
Second of all, listen when God presents you someone to give you some information. I tossed and turned. I called all my support group. They said, yes, we heard that. But no one would say, take dexamethasone or do Velcade. They said, we can't make that decision for you. I tossed and turned. I always say, it's something about Sunday morning. It's something about Sunday morning. Just going to church, just blessing God, just being in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
I spoke with a friend of mine who had lost her sister to breast cancer. She was in grief when I saw her. So of course she didn't see me and that's okay. But I said, you know, I'm dealing with multiple myeloma. And she said, my husband has multiple myeloma. I was like, where is he? Where is he? I talked to her husband. He said, I have been on Velcade for 8 years.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Amazing.
God sent me to church. I go on Sundays anyway, but that whole scenario
Confirmation.
was just awesome. It was confirmation.
Yes.
It was like, I called them Monday. I said, I'm not doing that. I am doing Velcade.
Yes.
I am still here.
Yes.
I take Velcade every other week. I get a shot every other week on the left or the right side. I have a new normal. I have neuropathy in my toes, but the only thing is I just can't walk around barefoot. That's it.
That's it.
So I feel overwhelmed with joy, with blessings that God sent me someone to give me the information that I need. And that's why sometimes, not sometimes, but you got to listen to God when he presents a situation to you with a person telling you about something that you're going through. So I told Ron, and I thank him every day. My daughter met him when she came home to visit, and she honestly walked up to him and said, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. So that has given me the length of time that I'm here.
Yes.
And just to say, always be your own advocate.
Very
You know, my doctor mentioned to me that I could come off of the maintenance therapy.
Mhm.
Now, that's where the support group came in also, you
Mhm.
know, because all of that's in the support group. A lady wrote in the support group, I've been on maintenance therapy for 11 years.
Wow.
Confirmation.
Yes.
Confirmation. And that's what that support group does for you.
Mhm.
You can ask any question. If you think it's stupid, it's not stupid. If you think it's dumb, it's not dumb.
Mhm.
Any question that you want to ask on that support group, they will give you that info. Valerie is the administrator, and she'll give you an answer about whatever you need to know from that support group. It's very good. They welcome you in with, you know, people will clap you in, welcome you in, but it's a very good support group. Very good.
Any other parting words of encouragement or information that you want to share with others about this disease, or just a word of encouragement, as you've encouraged me already? Is there anything else you'd like to share?
And I'll tell you also, I don't do Zometa every month because it is very hard on your bones. It's very hard on your teeth.
Okay.
Also, I get it every 3 months, and that's a life thing. Another thing that I forgot to mention is also I take a cyclovir. Okay.
And you know these medications better than I or anyone else. So kind of explain what those.
A cyclovir is for. I've never asked that question on the page, but I was told that I can't prevent getting shingles. I can't get a shingles shot. Mm-hmm. So I have to take a cyclovir to combat the shingles. I actually had shingles maybe a month ago. I had severe pain in my back, and I kept saying, what in the world is this? Yes. Okay, now let me say.
I can identify with the shingles because I had them back in June, June timeframe, and it is like none other. It's fire
it's a pain.
in your body and nerve damage.
I'm like, why is my back hurting on the side? Mm-hmm. I kept saying, but I don't understand why. There's nothing there. Mm. All of a sudden, I put my hand back there, and I feel all of these little bumps.
Yes.
I went to my husband and I said, what is that? And he took a picture. I said, I got shingles. Doggone it. But let me tell you, and to be honest, the medication you have to take 3 times a day. I'm not good. Mm-hmm. I'm not good at taking that medication 3 times a day. So if you have a cyclovir, take it like it is prescribed. Okay. Because it will combat shingles. I've gotten better by taking the medication. Yes. And I only take 2 medications. Thank God. God is good. I only take 2. I take a calcium pill every day, and that was prescribed. And I do a cyclovir. That's it. I have no other medication besides going to get that. I have no other medication that I would take. The other thing that I would like to encourage people is find a verse, get a song. When you go to chemo Q.
Sing
don't
that.
Chemo. Don't ever go to chemo slouchy.
Get dressed up. I say
you'll feel better. And the other thing, it's coming to mind now, Jackie. I couldn't. Once again, I had shared with you that I'm really nervous, and I don't even know why. But anyway, I was. But the other thing that has come to mind to me is that when you get ready to go in to take your stem cell, you're going to lose your hair from that immunotherapy because it's such a big dose of chemo. So you're going to lose your hair. So don't hold on to that head of hair. It's not important. It really isn't. Shave your head before you go in there. So when you look at that pillow, you won't see that hair on it. Exactly. Just go bald. I think I wore a scarf like one time, and then I was like, forget this, honey. I wore my little bald head and went out about my business.
Yeah.
I have pictures sometimes saying I look like E.T. the alien, but that's okay. It's all
Ellen, and
good.
that's living.
It's all good. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was one thing also before transplant that happened, that you are going to lose it. And I shaved it down really, really low. And then it started falling out. And then we just shaved it completely off.
Yes.
But I've been
I
bald
was right.
twice. I've been bald
Right,
twice
cute.
because I went against my daughter's whatever and said, don't put a perm in.
Right.
Okay.
Oh,
I put a
no.
perm in and my hair fell out like water.
Yes.
So I let it grow back. This is where I am now.
Yeah.
It's
And it looks beautiful, by the way. And people don't understand chemotherapy. Medications in general can change the texture of your hair.
Yes.
It can really impact your hair. So you kind of need to make some decisions going in. If you know the hair is going to come out, then make that strong decision to
Correct.
do something about it before it happens, because it's one less thing, believe it or
that
not.
you have to stress about.
Exactly.
One less thing. And the other thing that I would like to say, and sometimes that's on the page too, someone will say, well, I tried to get disability and I didn't get it. Okay. I had been home. September is when my everything ran out. Okay. You know, work, everything ran out. I had my daughter, back up a little bit. I was in Lexington. They give you a social worker. So we were talking and we were talking about getting on disability. And this lady said to me, they don't give you disability for multiple myeloma. Okay. I said, okay. She walked out of the room. I looked at my support group and I said, you know, she will not be my advocate. No way. You're going to tell me right off the bat what they're not going to do? Girl, I got a God that I serve that's higher than anything you just said. Okay. Now, going forward, my daughter, I laid in the bed and she filled out my application for me to get Social Security disability. It did take about 3 months. I had to send paperwork after paperwork after paperwork, everything related to the stem cell, the whole nine. The doctor's office is a good thing too. I love my doctor's secretary and she loved me. So it all worked out good too. But I called in Annapolis because I live in Indiana. And she didn't tell me that I got it. But she said, Miss Brooks, it was a word that she used. And I promise you, I should have never forgotten it, but I have. But I knew I got it. She said, but you have to go to your local Social Security office and talk to them. I walked in the office. You know, you got a little jittery going on because you're not sure, you know. I walked in and they said it was approved. Thank God. Now, most people say you don't get approved the very first time you apply. I got approved the very first time I applied. And when I say my God is awesome, God is good. God has been so, so good to me. I can't even stress how good he's been. And I got Social Security disability. So don't let anyone talk you out of what you can't get. You get on your knees, you pray to your God and say, God, this is what I need. And I need you to take care of it. Don't worry about anything. I know a lot of multiple myeloma patients that work with multiple myeloma, but in my mindset, work is stressful. I don't need to add that on top of what I already got. So I chose not to work and I'm still not working and I'm okay. I'm okay with it. There's money out there, and multiple myeloma, they give you, like when they first gave me my grant, I got, I think it was $14,000 or $15,000. I didn't even use it all because my insurance was good. So what they paid for was my Medicare, the money that they take out for Medicaid. They reimbursed me every month for that.
Oh wow!
So,
and then was that why you were going? Was that why you were going through the clinical trial?
This was the clinical trial was taken care of, and I had insurance because I still worked. So I had my insurance while I was going through the clinical trial. But after that, when I got the grant, you know, they paid for that healthcare benefit, which at that time was $143 that was coming out of my Social Security check every month, but I would get reimbursed for that.
Wow.
So that is important too, to know. And you can go on, they got also called a health tree for multiple myeloma. You can look up for that, but there's a lot of resources that you can get money to help you along the way when you have to pay something. And like you, Jackie, I pay nothing right now. So I'm very, very blessed in that situation, because my bill from the stem cell transplant was over $100,000.
Wow.
The other thing was, I have a rare genetic disorder. Did not even know I had it. Found out my oldest brother had it. They wanted me to do a stem cell back to back. Like, I had the one in August. They wanted me to do one in February. I explained to the doctor, my mindset wasn't ready for that. And I couldn't handle another stem cell transplant that soon. So I didn't do it. And here I am 6 years later. So, you know, I have that rare gene though. And he was concerned about that, because he said, you might, you know, we might need to do two. And I said, I can't do that. Your mindset has to be ready, you know, and if I ever did it again, and thank God, I hope I never have to, I know what to expect. But mouth sores ain't no joke.
No,
you know?
and I will say to you, I'm glad that you said that, because in addition to our mindset, our bodies, these bodies that God fearfully and wonderfully made, they take, those medications take a real toll on your body.
Yes.
So even if your mind is saying yes, your body might
be saying something. Yes.
That body's saying, I need to rest. I need to recover.
And I admit, Jackie, I do know that cancer chemotherapy is way more difficult than multiple myeloma chemotherapy. I know it's a different type of chemo.
Yes.
It's totally different. And it's a different type of chemo. And the other thing is, make the decision for yourself. If you don't want maintenance therapy, don't get maintenance therapy. It's totally up to you. For me, not necessarily that I'm afraid, because I know my God got me, but I got children that don't have children. I have an adopted grandchild, but they don't have any children. I want to be around to support them. But I, you know, have the old saying go, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So this situation with me doing maintenance is not broke. It's not changing my new normal. It's not changing my health in any type of way. I'm still living. I'm still enjoying life. I'm doing what I want to do. I love to travel. I love to drive. You can put me in the drive in a car. I'll go anywhere. You know, I've driven up to DC. I'll drive before I'll fly, because to me it's a hassle. But I'll drive before I'll fly. And that's a mindset to me. Getting on the road by myself, it just soothes my soul. And I just listen to my music and do what I ever have to do. But if you do not want the maintenance therapy, please do me a favor. Just ask about it. Just ask about it, you know, because I did lose a friend that decided to lower her dose. And she wrote me and said, don't do that. Don't let anyone talk you into it. Don't do it. And to this day, she passed away in 2021. She said the hardest thing for me to do was put myself in hospice. She went in hospice on the 12th of October and died on the 13th.
Wow.
So make the decision based wholeheartedly on you and your God, and talk to him, and he will give you an answer.
Yes.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And make sure that you are advocating properly for yourself, seeking the Lord's guidance. People don't want to include God in their equation. I don't know how they leave him out, but definitely seek him first for what you need to do for your health. Beverly Brooks, we got to have you come back because I know that you're continuing to do the maintenance, and we continue to see how you're doing, you know, what you're doing, as a matter of fact, through this journey, and how you're supporting others who are going through it. So I want to say again, thank you so much for joining us on Promising Me Unleashed.
And give yourself a balloon release on your newborn birthday.
Yeah,
I
that's
do that every year.
recommendation.
Give
That's-
yourself a balloon release.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. I love it.